What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of the Triple Threat Show. As always, I'm your host, Marav Fatemi, joining you on a late Thursday night. We got college basketball in full-fledged. We've already seen two teams punch their ticket to the Elite Eight. 6 more spots left, 2 more games going on right now at halftime right now. We're going to dive into everything college basketball. From there, we'll go into the NBA. Celtics take down the Thunder in a big-time game. Massive game, statement game from the Boston Celtics. How does it affect the MVP race? How does it affect the state of the Eastern Conference? Are the Celtics the true team to beat in the Eastern Conference right now? How do they stack up against the Western Conference as well? Bunch of teams we're going to get into in the NBA. Talk a little bit of NHL. Talk a little bit of baseball because we did have opening day in baseball today. You're watching the You're watching the Triple Threat Show. Before I move any further, drop a follow on TikTok. We go live every single show on Boston Sports Takes. Follow us on YouTube at The Triple Threat Show. You can find every recording of every show. Jeremy Lapidus and Nolan Jambor, my two co-hosts, you can find their shows there as well. They love to go live every single weekday morning. And yeah, let's get this show on the road. There's a lot to talk about in the world of sports today. Like I said, college basketball is in full-fledged. I just dropped my note. I made a note card. I think I literally just dropped it as I was. We're going rogue. I don't care. There are 4 college basketball games going on right now in March Madness. The Elite Eight is in full effect. 2 teams have punched their ticket. Purdue being the first one, taking down Texas, the 11-seeded Texas, the Cinderella team. Not a whole lot of Cinderella teams this year, but Texas definitely deserves to be in that conversation. An 11 seed that finds their way into the Sweet 16 and is literally seconds away from pushing a game into overtime against the number 2 seeded Purdue Boilermakers, who are a phenomenal basketball team. Literally went toe-to-toe with them. And Purdue just getting a game-winning layup, literally a game-winning layup to put the game on ice. It was a phenomenal game, head-to-toe. It was close the entire way, and Purdue just being able to squeak out another close game, another close game for the Purdue Boilermakers. I can't talk today. I'm going to try to get myself in check for this one, but Tremont Mark for Texas going off for 29 points in this one. 11 of 15, 5 of 7 from 3. I mean, this kid was lighting it up all night long. Jordan Pope putting in 12 points. Dalen Swan with another 15 as well. This Texas team was not going down without a fight. They may not have shown how good they were in the SEC tournament, but in the way that they've performed all NCAA tournament, going up against BYU, beating probably the best player in the country right now in A.J. DeBonsta. I thought BYU was one of those teams that could go out there and beat a team like Gonzaga. Well, Texas may have beaten them, but Texas did it for them. Texas goes out there and beats Gonzaga as well in the second round, the number 3 seeded Gonzaga, and then falls in a game-winning shot against Purdue. You can't make it up. You can't write it any other way. Purdue played their hearts out. You had 5 players for Purdue going off for over 10 points. Trey Kaufman-Renn with 20 points in this one. 8 rebounds on top of that. The players just came out to play for Purdue. Both teams, honestly. And you got to give the Purdue Boilermakers credit where credit is due. They find themselves in the Elite Eight, and they deserve all the credit in the world for doing so. They're one of the best teams in the country. From there, the other game, Nebraska and Iowa. Nebraska and Iowa, the battle of the Midwest, the 2 teams that people said literally there was going to be a bomb going off. They needed to bring extra security for that game because of how much festivities or how much hostility was going to be going on in that game. Well, we definitely saw the hostility, but we also saw some questionable calls. So with under a minute to play, with just about 58 seconds to play, Purdue's up by 3, 71-68. They have a ball. They have an inbounds play from their front, from the Nebraska side of the court. Nebraska sends out 4 guys on an inbounds play. They cover the inside court, no problem. One Iowa player goes all the way down the court, finds himself wide open under the opposite basket. All the Iowa player has to do is this. Just this. like it's a freaking lob, like it's a lob from football, like it's Tom Brady or Russell Wilson throwing a moon ball down the court, like it's LeBron James with that pass, or James Harden like that pass to earlier this season to Evan Mobley earlier in the Celtics game. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. LeBron James to Kevin Love back in the day. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up. All that, I don't know what else to tell you. It was stupid. 3-point game. It is anybody's game with about a minute to play. It's 58 seconds left in that game. It's a 3-point game. The other team has the ball. All you need is really a turnover. You need to get a stop, and then you need to get a basket, and the momentum switches like this in a close game like that. And you send out 4 guys? Not 5 guys, and one of them was just like 4 guys were on the court. 4 players in white jerseys for Nebraska. You can't make it up. I'm not going to be one of these guys on the internet that calls Nebraska stupid. I'm not about to do that. But definitely not one of the brightest plays that we've seen. Probably one of the dumbest plays. One of the most bonehead plays we've seen. Not only late in the game, but throughout the entire tournament that we've seen this year. I can't make it up. The only other one you can talk about is UCF putting in an own basket against UCLA in the first round of the tournament. There's no other way there's no other way to put it. Nebraska blowing a crazy game, and Iowa finds himself in the Elite Eight. A 9-seeded Iowa team goes out there and beats Florida in the second round, now goes out there and beats a 4-seeded Nebraska team to find themselves in the Elite Eight. They'll be taking on the winner of this next game that's going on right now, Illinois and Houston. Illinois and Houston is probably one of the biggest games of the tournament right now. Honestly, both of these games that are going on right now are some of the biggest games of the tournament. Illinois is up by 7 right now as we speak. 16 minutes to go in the second half. This is a Houston team. I thought they were going to win this game, but it's very low scoring. The problem is Houston's getting stops. The problem is they're not getting any points. They have a total of 26 points through 24 minutes right now. You got to do better if you're the Cougars. This is a Houston team that we know is really good at defense. But we didn't think that they would shoot this horribly. They're 11 of 38 from the field, 4 of 18 from 3 as we speak right now. They're getting out-rebounded. Yes, they're getting some defensive stops, which is what we want to see, and they're not turning the ball over a whole lot. But you got to cash in on buckets, and that's where, honestly, if I'm being honest with you, this game's probably not over. All Houston needs to do is go on a 7-0 run, 10-0 run, and they find themselves in a tie game or potentially taking the lead in this one if Illinois is not careful. Illinois is going to need to keep their foot on the gas pedal. David Merkovich deserves all the credit in the world. We saw what he did against Penn in the first round. He had double-digit rebounds in that one. I think he had like 29 and 17 in that game. He's got 7 and 7 in this one. He's continuing to rebound really well, but rebounding isn't going to get it done in basketball. Defense is great. Rebounding is cool. Effort is awesome. But if you can't put points on the board, you're going to end up losing games. This is the score. This is the name of the game. David Merkovich, yes, Illinois is up, but he's going to need to continue to play really well. He's going to need to find a way to take over this game, if I'm being really honest with you. And if he can do that, if this Illinois team can do that, they can find themselves in the Elite Eight. Now, Keaton Wagler also has 7 rebounds. A guard in Keaton Wagler has 9 points and 7 rebounds. It's a big reason why they're up in this game. But, like I said, this is Houston's games to lose. They're playing like they're supposed to on defense. They're not playing like they're supposed to on offense. This is not the normal Houston team that we're used to seeing. I expect them to turn it around at some point, but if they don't, expect to see Illinois in the Elite Eight. And honestly, if it happens, it's probably going to be like a 50-40 game with how it's going right now. We're literally about to hit the 15-minute mark of the second half, and there's been no score changes in this one. So I expect something to change, hopefully really, really soon in this one. The other game, that is 3 of 4. The last game that we need to get to, that is a little bit of a tough pill to swallow. Arizona-Arkansas. Arizona-Arkansas, I don't need to say much. This is Darius Acuff versus this Arizona team who's been lights out this entire tournament. You saw what Utah State almost did to Arizona. I thought Arizona was going to go down in this game. I didn't think it was going to be a blowout, but I thought Arkansas would find themselves in the lead. Arizona was going to have to play catch-up a lot of this game. Acuff was going to just blow the doors on this game wide open and just be the definitive reason why Arkansas went out and won this game. Um, Arizona's up by 18 points right now. They're up. They have 65 points, and they're not even. We're not even We're not even a quarter of the way into the second half. Not even like a fifth of the way in the second half. We're at the 17-minute mark. There are 4 players for this Arizona Wildcat team with over 10 points. You can't. This team is like a buzzsaw right now. They're playing at their best when they need to. Cuff has only got 13 points, 4 of 11 from the field with only 1 of 4 from 3. It's going to need to change at some point. I honestly don't think Arkansas is going to have a chance in this one. I'm not going to say no chance because we did see what VCU did to UNC earlier in the NCAA tournament in the first round when they came back from 18 points down or 19 points down over the last 13 minutes. Arkansas still has a chance in this one, but Arizona is running away with it. They're running away, and honestly, every time Arizona finds themselves in a lead like this, whenever they find themselves in a spot like this, they don't let up. They don't give you a chance. Arizona's only taken 4 3-pointers in this game. They're 23 of 33 from the field, 70%, versus an 18 of 39 for Arkansas, only 2 of 13 from 3. That's your game right there. That's your ball game. Arizona's just shooting the lights out. I honestly am really – I don't want to say I'm shocked because Arizona is a 1 seed for a reason, but I had Arkansas winning the entire NCAA tournament. That's why I'm saying I'm a little bit bummed because Arkansas was the SEC champion. They went out there and beat some of the best teams in their conference, but they're not Arizona. They're not, and Arizona's proving that as we speak right now. Up by 16 with 16 minutes left in the game. We'll give you an update as we get closer to the end of this game, or as we get close to the end of the show, because we'll get close to the end of the game. And, we'll get back to them. But right now it looks like Arizona and Illinois will be meeting Iowa and Purdue in the Elite Eight. That's just the first half of the Elite Eight. I'll be back tomorrow morning to preview the other 4 games going on tomorrow to see who's going to be facing who in the Elite Eight. Let's jump over from college basketball to NBA. I love college basketball, but I'm an NBA guy. Everybody that knows me knows I'm an NBA guy. I'm here to talk basketball. Got to talk about both. You got to do it. But I like to call myself more of an NBA aficionado when we're getting to nitty-gritty things. And I can't start anywhere than with my hometown Boston Celtics. Probably the biggest story in sports last night. The Celtics went up against the fully loaded Thunder. And when I say fully loaded, Chet Holmgren played. Jalen Williams, who missed like 44 games this season, he played. Isaiah Hartenstein was on the floor. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was at his best. Alex Caruso was there. Lou Dort was there. Cason Wallace was there. The entire loaded Thunder were on the court, ready to go in that game. And the Celtics took it to them. The Celtics took it to them from start to finish. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, mainly Jaylen Brown in this one, had a field day. Jason Tatum putting in 19 points. Jaylen Brown with 31 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. He was an absolute monster for this team last night. Neemias Queta, 13 points. You saw 5-6 guys for the Celtics get into double figures on top of a 30-point game from Jaylen Brown. Peyton Pritchard, Baylor Shireman with 11 massive points for this team throughout the game, hitting some massive threes. This Celtics team is a buzzsaw when they're healthy. What last night proved, when they're shooting the ball at a decent clip, and when I say decent, I mean they only shot 18 of 41 from 3 last night. They made 18 threes last night. They only shot like 45%. And this is a team that likes to shoot well over 50 threes a game. It's kind of a good sign, honestly, that Joe Mazzulla is starting to take into effect, is starting to learn from his past mistakes. What was the biggest thing that we criticized the Celtics for in last year's playoff run when they were playing the Knicks? When they were playing when they were playing the Hawks, or not the Hawks, the Magic, I apologize, in the playoffs. They shoot too many threes. They're just jacking up shots every 5 seconds. They're shooting 60 threes a game. Now, I'm not saying 40 is much better, but it's a decent amount. It's 20 shots less And it's showing the difference in just quality of shots, in terms of play. And it helps that Jaylen Brown is leading the offense because he's not much of a three-point shooter. He's more of a downhill guy. He has more control with the basketball. He's a more forceful, athletic guard that likes to get into the hole, likes taking mid-range shots. That's Jaylen Brown for you. But at the end of the day, this Celtics team is a buzzsaw. They're the best team in the Eastern Conference right now. If last night proved anything, they are the definitive best team in the Eastern Conference. I don't want to hear about no Pistons right now with an injured Cade Cunningham. I don't want to hear about the Cavs. I don't want to hear about the Knicks. We'll get to the Knicks in a little bit. This Celtics team is a buzzsaw. And if you look at the Thunder, they didn't play horribly. Yes, SGA was kind of on an island. He had 33 points. Shot 10 of 12, was extremely efficient. But outside of him, Lou Dort was their second leading scorer with 14 points. Chet Holmgren with 10. Jalen Williams with 7. Alex Caruso with 9. Nothing really stood out from this team. There was no legitimate number 2 guy. And I'm sorry, Lou Dort can't be your number 2 offensive player. At some point or another, there's a reason why when we'll get to this in the offseason, because this is something that's going to affect the Thunder. They're in the luxury tax. If you guys didn't know, if this upcoming year, if you saw the Celtics of last year when they were just trying to cut players, cut salary to get under the luxury tax, that's what the Thunder are going to be doing this year with Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams is gone. Jalen Williams is most likely gone from the Oklahoma City Thunder. This is probably his last season with the Oklahoma City Thunder. I expect him to be gone by next year. Chet Holmgren is still there. Isaiah Hartenstein will still be there. They're double big. I don't expect them to part ways. Maybe they part ways with one of them. I expect them to keep Lou Dort, their defensive anchor, but Cason Wallace is equal to Jalen Williams, if not better. Has been better than what Jalen Williams has been this past season. I expect them to move on from Jalen Williams and continue to use some of their first-round picks over the next couple of years to prosper some new talent. They can. They're the Oklahoma City Thunder. They've built this roster for a reason from the ground up. I expect them to continue to do so. A.J. Mitchell is ready. Isaiah Joe is ready. The other Jalen Williams is ready. He proved without the other with the original J-Dub off the court. The other guy, Jaylin, proved how pivotal of a piece he can be. Yes, they're saying he's only averaging 7.5 points a game. But he's also putting up 18 points sometimes. I've seen him put up 30 points a game. Put 30 points in a game. And I don't mean just one. I mean back to back to back. In games without SGA in the lineup. Without Alex Caruso in the lineup. There's guys in this Thunder organization that are ready to step up. And I think they're going to be in a similar position to what the Celtics were in this past year. That's just my take. That's just what I think. But yeah, the Celtics are the team to beat in the Eastern Conference. Where is my note card? I still can't believe there it is. I'm like, bro, I know I made a note card, but I couldn't find it. I was like, what are we doing right now? Yeah, Celtics statement game. Sorry I took a long time talking about this is why we make note cards. Talking about the MVP case. That is one thing I wanted to touch on with this topic, because Jaylen Brown may have won. I might have to say it myself. Jaylen Brown may have won himself the MVP title last night, and I don't mean just because they beat the Thunder. I just mean because of how he's played throughout the year, time and time again, and then he goes out there and beats the leading candidate for MVP. He almost did it in Oklahoma City too. We have selective amnesia that the Celtics almost went out there and beat the Thunder in Oklahoma City without Jason Tatum, without Derek White, two of their best players. Jaylen Brown had 35 points in that game and went toe-to-toe with SGA. If it wasn't for an over-the-back foul by Sam Hauser on Chet Holmgren that sent Holmgren to the line with 0.8 seconds to go in a tie game, we would have been seeing overtime and possibly the Celtics going out there and finishing that game. Now they come to Boston, you get the full lineup, and they take care of business against a fully loaded Thunder team. It just, to me, Jaylen Brown has earned the right to call himself the MVP this season. He's the best player on the court. 90% of the time, 95% of the time, he's the best player on the court. He continues to show why he's the most valuable player for the Celtics team. He's the best player on the Celtics team. There's no question about it. He's number one. Jason Tatum is number two, and from there you can go. But it is 1 and 2 Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum right now. He's the leader of the offense. He's running out the offense is running through him. He's a defensive monster. He deserves the MVP. Give it to him. It's Jaylen Brown's MVP in 2026, not SGA's. I think last night proved it. If SGA had won it, I think it would have solidified it. I would have come onto this show today, right now, and said SGA is your MVP this year because of last night. Last night solidified it for him. I'm saying the opposite right now. Jaylen Brown wins it. He's officially my pick for league MVP this year. I was flip-flopping for a while, but officially he's my MVP. Let's stick around the Eastern Conference for a little bit because I want to touch on a game that happened tonight. Celtics Thunder was last night. It is late in the night. We got to talk about some games that happened tonight. Hornets Knicks. The Charlotte Hornets. If you guys want to talk about a fun team to watch this year, yeah, I know the Pacers aren't there. If you want to equate a team like the Pacers of last year or from 2 years ago, it's the Hornets of this year. It's Con Knippel with the way he's turned this organization around. It's Brandon Miller with the way he's been able to stay healthy this year. It's LaMelo Ball, which, yes, he was a little bit of a ball hog to start the year, but he's starting to finally ingratiate into the offense and finally looking at Con Knippel and saying, you're the leader, man. Here's the basketball. Yes, it's a little bit of a dual threat with the guards, and I don't mind that. I don't mind LaMelo Ball being a dual threat with Con Knippel because it makes the defense have to think about two things at once. It only helps them. But this Hornets team is legit. They did lose a tough game to the Houston Rockets about a month ago, and I was a little bit worrisome about them. But they've beaten the Celtics by 20 now, and now tonight they go out there and beat the New York Knicks by 20. A fully loaded Knicks team with Jalen Brunson, with Mikal Bridges, with Karl Anthony Towns, with Josh Hart, with OG Anunoby. You name it. The Knicks had everybody tonight. And Con Knippel nearly had a triple-double on them. Goes off for 26 points, 8 rebounds, and 11 assists. This Hornets team continues to prove, honestly, why they're the dark horse of the Eastern Conference. And I say dark horse lightly because I don't think that they're going to go out there and beat a team like the Celtics. But say they draw Knicks in the second round. Say they draw the Pistons in the first round and Cade Cunningham isn't there. If there's one team that could strike fear into the Pistons right now, if without Cade Cunningham, it's the Charlotte Hornets. I don't care what anybody says. That is how good this Charlotte Hornets team is. They find themselves now tied with the Orlando Magic at the 8th seed, both at 39 and 34, riding a 5-game win streak. This team is legit. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They continue to prove they're 20 and 17 on the road, 19 and 17 at home. They've beaten the Knicks. Yeah, they beat the Kings and the Grizzlies, the Magic, the Heat. They lost a tough one to the Spurs. They've beaten the Suns. They've beaten the Celtics. They've beaten the Trailblazers. They've won toe to toe with the Cavaliers. They've gone toe to toe with the Pistons. They've beaten the Hawks. I know they've also beaten the Rockets. Or they beat the Rockets earlier in February. But at the end of the day, this is a Hornets team that's going to be legit going into the playoffs. I think they're still really young. That's why I'm equating them to the Pacers of a couple years ago, the Pacers team that went to the conference finals. But Con Knippel, when you see what he's done, 26 points for him tonight. Brandon Miller with 21, LaMelo Ball with 22, Miles Bridges with 17 points. Ryan Kalkbrenner's still on this team. Kobe White with 17 points tonight. This team's legit. This team has the pieces to knock off one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. Like I said, they're not going to go out there and beat the Celtics, but they could go out there and beat a Pistons team without Cade, and they could go out there and give the Knicks a run for their money. A team like the Knicks that are a little bit inconsistent offensively. They've proven it time and time again with Jalen Brunson being bipolar this year. Sometimes he has 30 points. Other times he has 13 points. Tonight he had what? Tonight he had 26 points, which is good to see, with 13 assists. But he was 0 for 6 from 3. When you're 0 for 6 from 3, you're not going to beat a team like the Hornets. That's how good the Hornets are. They shoot the lights out from there. Karl-Anthony Towns, 13 points. And you're going up against Brandon Miller and Ryan Kalkbrenner. Also, Musa Diabate is on the Hornets. Yeah, I just keep listing off names. This Hornets team is legit. Mikal Bridges only 14 points. Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, 17 and 16 points. You need more than your starting 5 guys. And it's the same criticism that we gave Tom Thibodeau when he was in New York. We criticized him for running Josh Hart over 35 minutes a game. Josh Hart, OG Anunoby. Jalen Brunson played 40 minutes in this one. Granted, he was pretty much your entire offense. You just want to see better. You want to see better utilization of your players. And on top of that, you want to see better defense. This Knicks team has been all over the place with defense. Sometimes they give up 90 points. Other times they give up 130 points. They're just extremely inconsistent. Yeah, you can say that about anybody. But this team, on too many occasions, has found themselves on the wrong side, giving up too many points defensively and not scoring enough points offensively. Offense, you can control a little bit. Or offense is a little bit uncontrollable. But defense, Tom Thibodeau ran this team on defense, on effort, on just stifling your opponent, just beating them down physically. Mike Brown is the offensive guru. And at some point or another, you have to look at this Knicks team and say, they're just not built for that. They're not sucker punchers, but they have guys that can strike daggers into people's hearts, like Mikal Bridges, like Jalen Brunson. But you also have some dogs on this team, like OG Anunoby, like Josh Hart, like Mohamed Diawara, like Mitchell Robinson, like Jose Alvarado. And I know that's your identity. That you want your identity to be that so badly. But when your coach has a different ideology for your team, your coach is more is more statistic, more fancy, and your players are just so much. It's a clash of personalities, and your coach needs to be able to manage that. This all comes into play. This all becomes wrapped up. Tom Thibodeau should not have been fired last year. I've said it on the show before. I'll say it again until the end of the season when the Knicks fall in the second round and probably go out to the Celtics in 5 games or the Pistons. I don't care. One of those 2 teams in 5 or 6 games. They will be sent home. That is how this Knicks team, it's not bad. They're not a bad team. They're just not good. They're not good enough to hang with the top teams in the Eastern Conference. And the top teams are the Pistons and the Celtics right now. They can't hang with either of them. The Pistons are better than them defensively, and when they get Cade Cunningham back, they are better than them offensively. The Celtics are far better than them offensively and pretty much equal to them defensively, I would say. The Celtics are a very underrated defensive team. I think the Knicks have a problem with their coach. I think they hired the wrong guy. Mike Brown is a very good coach. I like Mike Brown. I'm not trying to say Mike Brown is a bad guy. I just think he's the wrong guy for the job. He was originally the wrong guy in my mind. I was shocked that they didn't find another guy. I can go find my notes of what I said back in the day and get back to you. I don't remember exactly who was on the market at the time. But I do remember saying that Mike Brown was not the guy for this job. He was nice with the Kings. This is not the same team like Sacramento was. Sacramento was fancy schmancy with a great big and De'Aaron Fox and DeMar DeRozan. And there's another guy that I'm completely blanking on, but it's okay. The shooting guard that was there for a while. Not Harrison Barnes. I'll think of him later. But this Knicks team is going to need to figure it out quick, fast, and in a hurry because, yeah, they had a 7-game win streak that got snapped tonight by the Charlotte Hornets. And they were in full play for the number 2 seed. They now find themselves a full game back on the Celtics for the number 2 seed. and 5.5 games back on the Pistons for the 1 seed. I don't think the Pistons 1 seed is in full play anymore. I think they're going to find a way to lock it down. But definitely not a step in the right direction for the Knicks, especially with the playoffs quickly approaching. Holes, they're just finding more holes than seals in this one to close out the season. And meanwhile, the Hornets, like I said, are probably going to find themselves in the 8 seed and find themselves facing the number 2 seed, whoever it is, the Celtics or the Knicks, or maybe they lose in the first round of the play and find themselves facing the Pistons in the second. They will find themselves in the playoffs. I promise you that. They will find themselves in the playoffs. Going around the rest of the NBA, the Nuggets last night. That's my next stop. Jamal Murray with 53 points. 53 points. And honestly, I didn't even hear a sniff about it. This is a guy in Jamal Murray that's probably had his best season sitting in the shadow of the best player in the NBA, Nikola Jokic, who casually had 23, 21, and 19 last night or something crazy. It was something, I can't remember exactly what it was. It was something along those lines, though. This is a Nuggets team that's now sitting in 4th place in the West. Only 1 game behind the Lakers for the number 3 seed. They could easily get themselves into that number 3 spot. Easily. There's Jokic with 23, 17, and 17 last night. That's Nikola Jokic for you. That's the beast that is Nikola Jokic. Meanwhile, Jamal... I'm looking at the wrong game. Wait, am I looking at the wrong game? Why does that say 21 for Jamal Murray? I love when I have technical difficulties because they didn't play whoever that was that I just saw. They played the Mavericks last night. Yeah, 23, 21, and 19. That makes more sense. I knew that's what it was. Jamal Murray only took 6 free throws last night. 53 points on 9 of 14 from 3. One of the most efficient nights we've seen in Jamal Murray's career. He's an absolute stud. Peyton Watson is an absolute stud with 21 points off the bench. He continues to be a real difference maker, and when Aaron Gordon comes back, this Nuggets team is actually going to be for real. And when I say when he comes back, I mean when he comes back. I don't mean when he's half healthy. Because right now he's half healthy. He's good. He's still playing. He doesn't play back-to-backs a lot. But when he can actually be on the court and you could get an actual set, he plays like 25 minutes a night most nights. This team is going to be dangerous. This team is dangerous right now. So I would be really, really wary of whoever faces this Nuggets team in the first round of the Western Conference playoffs. Right now, it looks like it's going to be the Timberwolves. I'll get to them in a second. They're on my list here. But the Nuggets sitting just a game and a half behind the Lakers. They still, I think, have a game against the Lakers to close out the season. Nope, they don't actually. They have 2 games against the Spurs, 1 game against the Thunder, and 1 game against the Warriors, 1 game against the Trailblazers as well. Those are the most notable games. Only 8 games to go as we close out the year. We're going to have to do a playoff picture video. Be on the lookout for that. I'll probably do that this upcoming weekend. And by that, I mean in the next few days. But yeah, the Nuggets are in full play for the number 3 seed. They're easily, I think they're the 3rd best team in the West. I still say that. I know they lost last year to the Timberwolves. I don't care. They're my 3rd best team in the Western Conference, followed by the Timberwolves, which, funny enough, 4-1 without Anthony Edwards recently. 4-1. Find themselves in an overtime game with Alperen Şengün and KD both going for 30 points apiece without Anthony Edwards, down by 13 with 2 minutes and 42 seconds to go in overtime, and they come back and win. The biggest one, I think it was the biggest overtime comeback in NBA history. This is the Minnesota Timberwolves coming off of their big win against Boston in Boston on Sunday night. We're just going to go sneeze by this. Jaden McDaniels has continued to have a career year. Ayo Dosunmu, from Chicago was dying with the Bulls after what he did in Illinois when he was in college. Comes to the Timberwolves, and look what he's done ever since he joins this team. He's been on an absolute tear. He didn't even play last night. Jaden McDaniels with 24 points. Julius Randle with 24 points. Continued to prove that he was supposed to be in Minnesota the entire time. Yes, New York. I'm not saying New York was a bad place. I just don't think he needed to be the number one option on that team. And unfortunately, the Knicks didn't have enough money to pay him what he wanted. Meanwhile, the Timberwolves did. Being a number 2 option with Anthony Edwards was the right call to make. Bones Highland continues to be a great addition to this team. Dante DiVincenzo adds 17 points last night. This team is a buzzsaw. This team is an absolute buzzsaw, and they're my dark horse in the Western Conference. And I know a 5 seed, is there a dark horse? Yeah, when you're looking at the Western Conference with how good they are. Yeah. The Minnesota Timberwolves are a legit threat in the Western Conference when Anthony Edwards is healthy, when the rest of the group is healthy. They're that good. They're that well coached by Alec Finch. They're just a phenomenal team. Top to bottom, they're great offensively. Yes, they hit cold streaks sometimes. But when they're healthy, they don't hit cold streaks. They have guys that can make shots down the stretch whenever you need them to. You have a plethora of guys, and you add Bones Highland, you add Ayo Dosunmu. I didn't even bring up Naz Reid, the 6th man of the year a couple years ago. I didn't even bring up Kyle Anderson. I didn't even bring up Mike Conley. These are guys that can make shots. They're certified shot makers. They're offensive threats. A lot of them can also play defense, which I love for this team, that they went out there and handpicked some of these players specifically because they fit into the system. It makes sense. And the Minnesota Timberwolves have a legit team in Minnesota right now. They do have a tough stretch coming up. They have 2 games against the Pistons. They have a game against the Hornets, another game against the Rockets coming up. But this team is legit. Be on the lookout. They're still in full play for the number 3 seed as well. They're only 2 games back on the Lakers, half a game back on the Nuggets. Be very, very wary of this Timberwolves team. We'll be talking about them very much as we close out the season. We'll be talking about them a lot. The last team I want to get to as we close out, or not close out the show because there is one last segment to get to. The Philadelphia 76ers had their 2 stars out there last night for the first time. Well, for the first time since January. And nobody's even talking about it. Yeah, they scored 157 points. Most in franchise history since 1970. Can you believe that? First time. Most points scored in 56 years. Phenomenal stat. But last night was the 37th game with their 2 star players that they paid each about $100 to $150 million each. I don't know how much Paul George got in his contract with the Sixers, but I know Joel Embiid got at least $150 to $200 million in his contract. I could look it up. I probably should have, but it's okay. I'll get back. We're going to touch on this a lot, but I wanted to quickly touch on it. They've only played 37 games in 2 years. It was their 21st game this year playing together. And, yeah, they put up 157 points. Phenomenal. And, yes, be on the lookout for this Philadelphia 76ers team. But this team is an absolute travesty. It's a travesty what's going on with Philadelphia. I completely forgot Paul George was even on the Sixers before this game. He put up 28 points last night. Great to see him back. I'm happy to see him back. I like Paul George. He's a nice player. Joel Embiid with 35 points as well. VJ Edgecombe continued to pick up where he left off with 22 points. An efficient 7 of 9 shooting for him as well. I'm happy for VJ Edgecombe. Quentin Grimes, 13 points. You have guys and they've really meshed with one another without those 2 guys in the lineup, and Joel Embiid and Paul George. But how in God's name, I got to look up the numbers, do you give up at least $250 million to your 2 best guys? And in 2 years, they play a total of 37 games. And your team is now sitting in the 7th spot in an Eastern Conference without Giannis, with a reeling Milwaukee Bucks team, with a reeling Miami Heat team, with no Tyrese Halliburton, Paulo Banchero, our Franz Wagner isn't playing for the Magic. You have a
Trae Young's not even in the Trae Young's with the Wizards right now. He's not even with the Hawks right now. This conference is wide open. And your two best guys have played 37 games together. I was sitting here last offseason saying to trade Joel Embiid. Save yourself the time. Because at the end of the day, it's not that I don't like him. It's that he's not healthy. It's that he doesn't play. He doesn't attend, not that he doesn't attend games, but he's not there. He's not there half the time. He's not there. Plain and simple. So, that's all I really want to say about the Sixers. They're sitting in the 7th spot. Do I think they're a dark horse that they could knock off Cavs? Maybe. They could beat the Hawks, the Raptors. They'll find themselves out of the play-in tournament. But that's about it. Like, really. That is really about as best as you're going to get from the Philadelphia 76ers this year. Plain and simple. That's my NBA talk that I wanted to get into. The rest, I want to do a quick index. Bruins with a big win over the top seed Sabres, over the number 1 seed in the Atlantic Division in the Sabres. They've been a phenomenal team. They've been a little bit inconsistent, but they're only 2 points behind now on the Montreal Canadiens. They're still sitting nip and tuck with the Montreal Canadiens for that number 3 spot, so they can actually solidify themselves a playoff spot instead of looking at it from a wild card perspective. I hate it. If they can get themselves out of the wild card, I'll be happy because there's only 2 wild card spots available between 2 big divisions, and they're both super competitive, or at least one's super competitive. But that's all I got to really say about that one. Red Sox beat the Cincinnati Reds 3-0 tonight. Garrett Crochet goes 6 innings, has a great game. Red Sox now 1-0 in their first game out of 162. And yeah, I think that was the only other thing I really wanted to talk about. Let's get a quick update on college basketball. Illinois is up by 17. Arkansas is down by 17. Yeah, Arizona's going to at least Illinois is going to the Elite Eight with 3 minutes left to go in their game. Houston, unfortunately, the Cougars find themselves going home. Arizona's moving on to the Elite Eight, and I believe they're going to be, I don't think the other sides of their brackets has been filled yet. I don't think. Well, I'll do a full preview and recap of all these games tomorrow. At least these 2 games, because I did recap the first 2 earlier in the show. If you guys didn't check that out, you can find that on YouTube at the Triple Threat Show. We post all the recordings of our shows there. You can find us on Twitch as well at the Triple Threat Show. We go live on TikTok every single day, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. All of our podcasts are posted there. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, folks. Have a great night, and stay dreaming. Peace.